It's not about me, it's about this. Isn't that great? I mean, this isn't Mozambique. It isn't the UAE. It isn't Greenland. It's United Kingdom suburbia. And if I rotate, it does weird things. So you got it in this silly portrait mode, but yeah, anyway, it's really cold. It's like 0 or something. And for those of you around the world who'll say 0 ain't cold, well, no, you're right, it isn't. But if you look at English people at this time of year, they're not really because you won't die if you don't dress for it. Well, you probably won't anyway. You know, we don't really dress for it. I'm sure if it was minus 20, I would have gloves and balaclava and proper thermal, this, that, and the other. But I'm sort of dressed for a mild autumn day, except my coat's done up. And so we just get cold, don't we? That's what happens. And we moan about it. But anyway, still a nice little area in Northwood. There's lots of nice little areas in Northwood. They pretty much join up to make a nice, moderately sized area to go with our moderately cold winters and our moderately warm, sometimes moderately hot, although rarely, summers. Normally I do these things on Facebook and I've got my own little audience of very few. But they're people I know. It does make a difference when you communicate. You know, it's good to know who you're talking to. And I'm probably talking to no one right now, but who gives a doodle. I'm going to sign off in a bit. I just wanted to share that view, and you know what it's like with a phone. It never does it justice. It's one time when you sort of crack out the Photoshop or whatever, just to get it to look how it looked to your eyes. But hopefully it will remind you of similar things that you've seen, and you'll know how cool they are to look at when you get the chance. Anyway, some of the roads where I'm walking now, some of them are private, some of them are not. I don't know which is which. I've sort of fallen out of use of this area. I used to sort of find myself here for various reasons quite a bit, but it's been years since I was regularly wandering around here. And so basically I've pretty much forgot what goes where. So anyway, Gate Hill Road. I have to say, I'm going to mention something. I think it's maybe since all the lockdowns, people are, I mean, around here, there's always like the old famous last words where, you know, you say something that's never happened before and then it happens right on cue, you know, that sort of thing. Look, mum, no hands. Splat. Could have done with your hands even just to break the fall. But anyway, it's another story. But, you know, historically, let's put it that way then. Historically, it has been recognised as a rather safe area, relatively safe area. But I'm not kidding. The amount of, it's just people, everyone seems to be in fear. I mean, walking along and just look so like introverted the moment. I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but maybe I don't look so great. I mean, I'm not a big guy. I'm a little bit overweight. I'm 6 foot, and I'm wearing a hat with freedom written on it. But there's just no eye contact. You know, people like, or they find something to do. Even when they're with another person, you can see that all of a sudden they're sort of saying something nice to the person they're with, as if to sort of say, look, I'm a nice person, don't eat me. And it just, you know, we've all had it when you're walking along and you're where you wish you wasn't, and you see someone that just has got the wrong silhouette for the mood you're in, and you start messing around with your head about what's going to happen next. But yeah, it's just not too, I don't know, not for me to say, is it? It's a great area. There's so many, you know, public, private, whatever you want to call them, schools, and, you know, paid for schools, and most houses, if a detached house around here, well, a semi-detached, most of them are over $1 million, depending on what street or whatever. But it's a pretty decent area, not the worst sort of crime in the world, and not really at street level. So it's just a constant, you know, everyone you come across is nervous, and it would be nice to do something about that, to be honest with you. Now there's a thought. Wouldn't it be good? Me personally, I don't watch the news, so that helps. But, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, everyone was thrown into fear based upon a dastardly plan. And it's like one of those things where, in football terms, it's like you can get relegated. It's a lot more difficult to get promoted. You know, once you get down, hard to get back up again, that sort of thing. And it would be really nice if some sort of social, not trick this time, some sort of social truth was done on the collective. Sound like a militant, don't I? To raise people back up again. Wouldn't that be good? And I'm not just talking about, and I'm not knocking these things either, but I'm not just talking about, you know, some flower power symposium, some hover your chai above your snid, you know, forum or something, or whatever. But, you know, just something that's hits the bulk of those who have been affected by it, you know. The Dare to Look Up campaign, you know. Anyway, I just said that because it's got to the point now where it's a bit like, I've seen those police sobriety tests, you know, I don't drink or anything, but I've seen those police sobriety tests and I'd fail them. You know, walk in a straight line along a white line. You try and do it. I mean, you can do it until you start trying to do it. As soon as you try to do it, you can't do it. And it's a bit like when you see someone who's nervous and in fear and you want to reassure them. For me, if it's a woman, I'll just cross the road. Just think, there you go, I'm out of your way. But if I can, that is. There's only so many times you can do that. He's zigzagging down the street, you know. But, you know, you just sort of want somebody to just feel at ease, you know. But when you see somebody who's nervous because you're there, you know, just gets through a while, you think, oh, for goodness sake, just lighten up, come on. But they don't know who I am, I suppose. But so that's all that happened, is I was showing this lovely sunset and saw somebody walking who was kind of like, oh, there's another human. And so then I was like, you try and go, well, let me give my friendly face. And like, what? I don't even, probably, I should have to do it in the mirror one day. I bet my friendly face looks really scary. I bet it's scare myself. So no friendly face, act normal. It's like, well, there's nothing to act normal about. But as soon as you start trying, it's going to be anything but. It's a bit like when you see footballers doing adverts. It's not stage fright. They just, it's like, okay, you've just got to be you, but you've got to like this razor. It's like, okay, yeah. What is it? As soon as someone puts the camera and says, okay, do what you just did, it's like, And that's, I suppose, what a professional, and in football terms, you curled that free kick into the top corner, do it again. There's only a few of them who can do it again. As soon as you start trying to do something that just comes natural to you, I've said this before, but there's a classic one, is if you're playing a mate, let's say at tennis or squash or something, and you just ask him, just as you're about to go on the court, especially if he's a little bit better than you think, all right, I'm going to put paid to that. And you look at him and you say, how do you hold your tennis racket? And all you got to do is just get him to think about it. It's a good point. How do I hold it? Now, he's trying to hit the ball. And it's like, you'll be amazed. It's a bit of a dirty trick. You'll make a mess of him. He'll be like, rather than just like, I don't know, I just, how do you beat me? I don't know, I just get it done. That's what happens. It's like, people, I want to know how. How do you stand? Show me what, I'm going to coach that success out of you, And so, yeah, there it is. It's easy to do something when you're doing it. And somebody says, like when someone puts you on the spot and says, do that funny face you do. I'm like, oh, don't. Everyone hates me already. Now they hate me even more. And they've got a whole room full of people saying, this had better be shit. I want it to be shit. Nah. Yeah. Kids do that, don't they? It's like, it was funny at the time. It's like, don't make it my party trick, please. It's like, you're going to hang me, hoist me on my own petard. Anyway, ramble. That's the coffee kicking in. Not as cold now for some reason, but hello, I'm just hanging out, casing the joint. Let me flip round. It's got a bunch darker. There's another reason why I'm hovering at this point, because I don't know whether to zig or zag. Do I go that way or do I go that way? I saw somebody going up that way and I swear it's the same person coming back. So, and although it says dead end, that says dead end as well, and it's because it goes into a private road. So, it's like it's not actually a dead end. So anyway, I'm gonna go up this way, and I'll probably come back down again, like the other guy did. Yeah, I've lived in this area about 25 years, and I used to, the various different reasons, I knew someone who worked here, and I used to drop her off from time to time or pick her up or whatever. And sometimes I just used to drive through because it was nice. At times when I was looking to move, looking to buy somewhere. I think I have done a wrong in here. I think I have got to turn around. But anyway. So there was various reasons. But now, it suddenly dawned on me a few weeks ago that I haven't been over here for a long time. And in actual fact, what it is as well, believe it or not, I mean, look at it. It's so silent as well. It's in the ULEZ zone, ridiculously. But then again, that whole thing is ridiculous, so anything in the zone is ridiculous. But this is right on the border. And being as I'm one of those riff-raff oiks with a higher polluting vehicle, I'm not allowed to drive my car in here anymore unless I wish to pay the £12.50 levy, which basically I don't. So that works, doesn't it? It just means that any of those losers who don't have a brand new car, generally speaking, won't be found in these places anymore. I mean, that's really... There was a former president, I think it was, I don't remember if it's Clinton or Bush. I think it was him. Somebody told me, said the job of the police is to keep the poor away from the rich. And no one's talking about that with you, Les, but I think that's what that is. To keep the poor away from the rich. It's called gerrymandering, isn't it? I remember living in a place once in Upton Park in West Ham, in East London, for those of you who don't know the area. But I discovered after a while, and by the way, I'm not sure if I really want to walk up here, but anyway, let's see. I discovered after a while that it was, the property was owned by Westminster Council. So a lot cheaper for them to house somebody in Upton Park than in Westminster. City of Westminster, or whatever it's called. Borough. Is it Borough of Westminster? I don't know. So this was the dead end it told me about, and on this occasion it was telling the truth, I think. I've actually... yeah, this one is a dead end. But how lovely, though. I have... I won't dwell on it, because it will bore the no one that's watching. But when I was married, we were heading in this direction, actually, in terms of properties, and business was growing, and started employing a few staff and stuff like that. And anyway, I had a little squabble, and to be honest with you, I think I was given a little nudge into the ditch, you know, but I decided to not only be super offended by that, but to hold on to it forevermore. Which turned out to be destructive, because basically I recognised the fact that we could move, and I felt I was tipped off that conversation, and rather than just taking it up another time and talking it out, and you know, in a marriage, you know, you talk these things out and work out, okay, what are you thinking of? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I don't want to live there. Well, what about this? Yeah, maybe, let's go take a look. That sort of thing. Well, I never went through that evolution, because I decided that her interrupting me about something I didn't think was important at that split second was a deliberate ploy to knock me off from that, you know, your train of thought sort of thing. It may be true, it may have been not. It was the equivalent of just a little, you know, in marriages, those bickering sort of things where you just, you know, they love each other to death, but this is just one of their they're just bickering over nonsense, really. Like two bored kids in the back of a car. If they don't find something interesting to do, they're going to start making each other the game until mummy and daddy step in with brute force. Not that we do that sort of thing, of course, but anyway, nor ever did. But yeah, anyway, so that was what happened. I was like, you interrupted me. No, I was just telling him not to, you know, the little boy, not to splash in the puddle or whatever it was. It's like, you didn't need to tell him, you're doing it just to blah, blah, blah. That's it, sod it, we're staying put. We ain't selling, we ain't moving. We're going to do the place up now. Our place couldn't really be expanded. We weren't really going to get the money back. And in those days you did, you know, if you extend a property, but we weren't really going to get the money back for spending money on our place. And it was an interim. We'd moved there to be in the area whilst working our way up into something a bit bigger, a bit more family sort of size. Anyway, it worked so quickly, that little plan, that it sort of caught me off guard. Within months of living there, I was like, oh, I think we can go. And, you know, you just, at that point, you just need somebody on the other side of that conversation to kind of, what do they call it in America, spitball, is that it? You know, you just throwing out these ideas, and eventually it all starts to make a bit of sense, and you have some sort of a plan, and obviously it needs to be agreed upon and all the rest of it. But even for me to say, all right, we're staying put, well, there were two other people in that marriage. There was the wife and there was our child. And it's not really about what I decided. But anyway, I turned to the enforcer, and that's what we did. You know, double glazing, blah, 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 this, that and the other got done. And we stayed put. And the joke of it is I'm still there. So when I look at places around here, and I just think, you know, it's not just for the sake of it. It's not just like, you know, just a pure materialism thing. But I do like nice things. I mean, everyone does. And I like nice areas, and I like having nice neighbours, and it's nice to be around people that aren't struggling, and it's nice not to struggle yourself. So, and I've lived, you know, I spent 8 months living on the streets as a teenager, living in the back of a van, -13 one night, you know, woke up Christmas Day in my little van that wasn't even, I had to sleep with my feet on the handbrake because it wasn't really long enough. You know, it was just a little van. You don't really get little vans these days, but I'm so old. Back then, it was a Mark I Ford Escort van, and it was small enough to have to sleep with my head by the back doors, because otherwise I'd have to sleep with my head on the handbrake between the front two seats. So yeah, so that lot was private, but this lot isn't. I'm going to go this way. I sort of know-ish where I am now. But anyway, so I know what I prefer in terms of, obviously it's all relative. It's all about who you're with, what's on you. I mean, the attitude, you know. I know someone who lived in a car for a while. I told her you lived in it. It was a woman. I said, oh, I lived in a van. Oh, so did I. It was excellent. I'm like, I didn't feel that. I felt like I was stuck there and didn't want to be there, and was really concerned about my future. And so, you know, I suppose it's all about how you consider it, really, isn't it? But anyway, it's so funny that, you know, kind of like 10 years later, you know, I was in a reasonably different situation. You know, I would have been, I would have been married with a kid and a business that was getting off the ground quite nicely. You know, anyway, that was what I did. I threw my toys out of the pram over something really silly. And if she truly didn't want to move, that would have came out in the wash, you know, with a proper conversation, not a little petulant little boy tantrum, which is what I basically did. And it's amazing sometimes how, you know, it's like how things can change. Like, again, in football terms, you get a manager who's doing well at a club and he leaves that club for another club and he doesn't do well at that club and he never quite does well again. I remember playing, I'm not a gambler, I barely know, I always forget the rules of things like poker and stuff, and I hardly ever play it, but a few times I've played it. It's a nice little social environment, whatever. And I remember playing it once, and I was, in terms of my own comprehension of what the hell was going on, I was hanging on by my fingernails, but I had the biggest pot. I was winning quite nicely, and the night was about to come to an end a bit sooner than we wanted to, because we started off with a limit, so they're going to spend all night. And I ended up, I was mid-table, I was flying until we reset. But I remember actually thinking, well, it doesn't matter. At least I've known I can have fun, I can win now. I'm just genuinely, you know, I think we'd all chipped in like something ridiculous, like 20 quid each. And I thought that for a night's entertainment with me mates is nothing. I'm prepared to lose that. I'd almost feel worse winning. It's like I don't make anybody's money. I just want to have some fun, and I did. I had some fun, so I achieved that sort of goal, if you like. But if you look at it from the point of view of how well I was doing per the rules of the game, it was remarkable how completely different it was 15 to 30 seconds later when we reset. It's like, again in football terms, you get a team that wins the league, and used to have this situation where the following season they're mid-table. And so that was a little bit like that, and I think when you're losing, you can never imagine winning, and when you're winning, you can never imagine losing. And so believe me, I forgot about not having money. I remember saying to somebody something like, why would anybody go to the petrol station and just put a tenner in? I mean, you're going to just fill it up. You're going to use it. And I that's coming from, a guy who mates used to all like chip in 50p or a pound each or something for some petrol for the night so we could go and, just whatever, loon about in a car or something. And it's even as an adult, I'd had a situation where you couldn't afford a taxi car, couldn't afford to whatever. And it's just amazing how me coming from a background like that as well, just forgot that at the point where it was no longer an issue. You kind of forget what it was like when it was, and it's quite funny. So yeah, so note publicly, oh yeah, by the way, that's all the ANPR psychosis for the EULAs. But yeah, note to self, it's like, I don't know what the note to self is, but really and truthfully, I think it's just that it's better to communicate. That's sort of, it's like truth bears witness. If I had a point, it would stand up to inspection and further discussion. But when you have those situations where you say, I'm going home and I'm taking my ball with me, there'll be no further games, no further communication. It's like, well, you're probably wrong, really. You're going to end up sitting in the room on your own, sulking because you disagree with something. Truly, when a different response is where you're looking for more communication. You think, oh, that game's over, but I want another one, or I want to speak to the guys about it because at least end on a good note, or whatever. In other words, further communication is usually. It's not only is it usually the key, but if you're not sure whether your reaction is right or wrong, I suppose you could look and say, well, am I looking for more communication now or less? And if the answer is less, you'll probably find that your reaction is wrong. And I can remember the amount of times where, even in that marriage, you say, that's it, it's over, and you're really determined for it to be true this time. And then 10 minutes later or half a day later, that feeling of real happiness when it all resolves and you're back in love again, and you just think, oh, this is, what was I even, don't even listen to me, I was talking crap, sort of thing. So I do think that's an example for yourself, is like, if you're not sure whether your reaction is right, just look for the communication factor. Do I want to communicate more or less now? And it's probably not 100% accurate, but it's a good way of just taking a little look. But really and truthfully, I think I knew that I was being an idiot. And I suppose I expected her to come up to me later and say, oh, go on then. What was, what were you thinking, or something like that? And she didn't, I don't think. So it just became a moment that stayed stuck in time. And the thing about life is it only happens where you create it. If you sit down and let it happen to you, it's not going to be a good look. And eventually, the worst thing of all is nothing will happen, which weirdly enough is worse than bad things happening, because bad things is still a game, isn't it? What about nothing? Guys desperate to actually kill or be killed, and people are looking at him like, oh, you're irrelevant. You're not needed in this game. There'll be no killing, and you won't get killed. You can't play. You know. You think like stomping off from your mates because you couldn't beat them at football or something, and coming home, and then getting grounded, and now not even being able to play football. And you think, you think about it, you think, you just want to go out there, and you think I'd even be willing to go out there and lose. But at least I'm on the pitch, at least I'm out with my mates, you know. So anyway, any game is better than none, apparently. But you'd rather win at something that you felt was significantly useful for you, wouldn't you? I mean, let's face it. Anyway, so there's the little there's a little thing. It's Watford Road or whatever in Northwood, Elgood Avenue. Is in the zone. Where has it gone? Zooming in on something I can't see. There you go. So there's all the nonsense, and in you go into what is predominantly a private bunch of roads, which is an interesting point. If they're private roads, I mean, well, I suppose once they're in the zone, you've got to go into the zone to get onto those roads. But I doubt if there's too many places where there are private roads right on the border, because, well, it's a non-adopted private road, not part of the highway, so not really sure how that works. But anyway, there it is. It wasn't really meant to be about anything other than the sunset. It turned into this. I've done only experimental YouTube lives before, and this, I guess, would have to come under heading of experimental too. Maybe it gets, maybe I pull it down, I don't know. But there it is. Let's see what it looks like afterwards. All right, cheers, bye.